Today is Saturday, April 5th, 2025. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 48, Week 6.
Yes, we're basically, they were day 13, week 6. It's essentially the halfway point all around.
Yes, it is.
Yes, a lot going on, a lot of discussion amongst the super fans. So I'm looking forward to checking in with everyone, see how they think Mergatory is progressing. Do we have any business we need to cover?
We do, actually. We found out that there's going to be 2 people voted off this week, according to Mike Bloom. So we have updated the website for those of you.
Steve has.
Steve has, not us, but but you will be able to change your USB this week if you choose to, or you no longer have one. And we'll talk more about that at the end of the show. We just wanted to make sure everybody knew that there would be 2 people you would need to choose for vote off because...
Double elimination. Yep, using a pattern that we've seen many times before. That's why I consider this just the continuation of the Mergatory. We're going to split back down into small groups, even though everyone's officially merged, but they're going to break it apart and do 2 groups of 6.
Yeah, but I like it when they
votes.
Finally get to individual immunity for everything.
Well, we're almost there. Soon to be there.
For everything. So.
Yeah.
But we do need a double elimination before, and we knew that.
Yeah.
To make it work out to go into the finale with the normal 5 people. Mm-hmm. And so we knew one would be coming, just not when.
Yep, surprise, it's here. Okay, anything else?
I don't believe so.
Let's kick it off with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Wow. I mean, that was not a bad Mergatory episode at all, guys. Solid episode. Feel a little sorry for Charity, but I'm going to let out a great big baby, solid episode. And I'll say this, the way Say was again being cocky, especially how she got that advantage. She found the advantage at the beginning of the episode for the challenge, and she got to skip the team portion and go right to the individual part. I said, unless she wins immunity, they're going to get rid of her because she's annoyed so many people. And she didn't win immunity, but she dodged a bullet. And see a Charity. And I'm going to say this, a Charity kind of like Bianca from last week. I think she offered a lot. She was a solid strategist, not bad socially, held her own, not the strongest in challenges, but she held her own. And I think what hurt her again was she maybe overplayed a little bit too much. Maybe you could say almost similar to what Say is doing. And I think she got a little too cocky too, considering it was her first tribal. You know what was a red flag for me was when she said to Joe, is it fun going to tribal there? And he's like, oh, it's not. And when she should have never went to Star for getting rid of Eva. A tactical, catastrophic mistake. And that, I think, also led to the blind side of her going. I got to see her interview if she regrets going to Star. Because she had Mitch, and she was trying to get back with her original Fever crew. But that didn't work, because you knew David didn't trust her. And Kyle and Camilla, now, or at least Kyle's with the strong Loggy. But man, it was a crazy episode. And sorry, Charity. And now, I don't know, guys. say is going to be still seen as target number one. Joe and Eva are going to be seen as targets. Eva got the idol and being physical threats. I'm going to be honest, guys. You know what I'm going to watch out for now with the merge? I got to see if everyone else agrees. Kyle and Camilla, I don't know if anyone could see them being close. Now, I know Shahin would for sure, which helps for me, Ari. I think she's going to be a sneaky player at the end, especially socially. And now Cedric, I think he's the GOAT because he doesn't do anything in challenges, and he's a clear path to make it to the end with no votes. That happens. And I feel bad for Mitch. I hope maybe he'll get some revenge for charity there. But this is a solid merge episode, a lot of back and forth, and good for Eva not to play her idol because she didn't need it. But man, I don't know what's going to happen next episode, guys. Well, let's check out Charity's interview and see if she regrets going to Star. All right, guys, take care. Woo.
Whoa, thanks, Pete. I don't think she didn't mention anything about regretting it. She actually had a connection with Star. Star had given her Beware Advantage, the cryptics that the immunity idol was in, had given it to Charity. It was in Charity's bag at one point. And Charity made the decision, much like the group before, to hold it as a defense mechanism. She said, now, if I'd known Star was going to give it to me if I solved it, I would have gone ahead and solved it. But, yeah, so...
Well, and Star might not have given it to her.
Yeah, it wasn't equivalent circumstances.
No,
I think that was an
not at
emotional reaction to what Eva had been going through totally. And
certainly in part.
you can see in the way Star reached out to Cedric in his emotional moment that she feels deeply when other people are having trouble, and she tries to comfort and help them. That just seems to be in her nature. Given what when they finally have shown us anything of her of significance. So
Did you? This is just totally out there, not really.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Okay.
But did you notice that alphabetically on the roster that Eve is between David and Joe and Camilla and Kyle are side by side? Just,
Okay.
information.
That's deep.
Random, alphabetically.
There's probably some
This is how
horoscope
they-
link going on there too.
Possibly. I don't know. I don't know anything about that, but it could be.
I'm just trying to get on an equivalent wavelength there.
No, I just looked up and saw that, and I thought,
Okay.
oh, wow,
All right.
that's interesting.
Deep thoughts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jack
Or
Handy.
very shallow thoughts. Either way.
Good stuff. I didn't get anything really resonant from her interview, and it just seemed to come down to a worst case scenario for her. And I think it's got to be everyone's most significant fear that you are chosen and you go out to play Survivor, and it turns out you can't connect with anyone. And that's how it was for Charity from the beginning. She couldn't make that important social connection.
Yeah.
She said she saw that her and Camilla were on the bottom, and she reached out to Camilla, and Camilla promptly threw her under the bus with it and said, you know what, you're right, we're both at the bottom. I'm going to make sure you're at the very bottom. And
So choose
Charity,
her, not me.
Exactly. Charity said, that was
Thank
really
you.
smart. If I had been paying attention, I would have done that too. She also said she essentially blanked out at tribal council and didn't even occur to her to play her shot in the dark, even though she knew going into the vote that there was an issue. She was coming back from being interviewed by one of the producers and ran into Kyle, and I forget who else she said, but she said the way Kyle looked at her, and this was just before going to tribal council, the way he looked at her, she knew that something was seriously wrong.
They always say you
can see it on somebody's
not wanting
face.
to make eye contact, that things are just awkward, and that's how a lot of people think, it might be me.
She seemed to be effective at being able, from her interview again, she talked a lot about trying to read people's energies and see who, where everybody was. She seemed to be good at sussing things out, but she just could not, for the life of her, figure out how to make that significant connection that would offer her some defense.
Well,
in this scenario, and she was stuck in that same place at this point too.
Obviously, she didn't suspect that she would might really go home, or she would have played her shot in the dark, I think.
That's not how she described it. She said that she knew that she was at significant risk, but when she went to tribal council, she just blanked out on those options. And she said when she was watching the episode back this week, she couldn't remember making those faces, those reactions. She wasn't aware of that. Mike Bloom.
She seemed very surprised with what they showed us. But, who knows?
Yeah, the edit can manipulate us. And it certainly has.
Does.
Yeah, continues to. Yeah, they lean
feel
way
what
into
they
that.
want us to.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Pete. Next up, got an email from Mary in Maryland.
All right, Mary says, hello, apologies I haven't gotten my feedback in the past few weeks. I need to get into a new routine for when to write up my feedback with the new deadline, since I used to do that on Saturday afternoons. I'm excited that I and lots of other people got a vote off point this week. I didn't connect with Charity. I didn't either. So not having her won't make a big impact for me. I'm still quite happy with my USB Mary. That swim through the mud without getting her face dirty was a thing of beauty.
I didn't see it the first time when we were doing the recap, but I went back and watched the episode, and she floated through that. It was, I agree, it was a thing of beauty. She definitely had a special approach to that.
She continues to be just the right mix of under the radar, clever, good at challenges, yet personable, that I think it will take her far. I love Kyle's demeanor and enjoyed seeing his challenge win. I hope he lays low for a while and doesn't make himself too much of a threat. Camilla continues to play very smart. Mitch has been amazingly adept at challenges. I loved getting to see Star's personality. I could tell she had a lot in her, and we hadn't gotten to see it yet. Her pep talk with Cedric actually made me tear up a bit. I hope we can get to know her for at least a few more episodes. Still not a fan of David's and don't enjoy the milk drinking thing or the continued talk by him and others about his body. As Joanne said, it seems to be covering for some deep insecurity. I greatly dislike the honor and integrity trope on Survivor and hope it goes nowhere. It's a game of deception. I hope Kyle was just nodding along to stay in that group's good graces and that he has no plans to be truthful. I think we've already seen that since he ran and told Camilla. At the moment, my top picks for possible winners are Mary, Camilla, Kyle, or Shahin.
Yep, that's a good group.
Yep. No idea what will happen next week, and there are endless possibilities. Will Eva or Joe be targeted because of her idol and their closeness? Will Say finally rub everyone the wrong way? Will Cedric's wishy-washiness finally catch up with him? Can't wait to find out. Take care, everyone. All right, thanks, Mary.
Yeah, I think the Cedric thing, I think he gets to coast now. He showed everyone he's absolutely not a threat for physical challenges.
Not a physical threat, no.
Yes, they're all very clear on that.
Yeah, but they're still having group challenges, and who wants to have him on your team? That's just the way it is.
He's become a goat magnet now. He's being pulled towards the goat lane.
Okay, up next, we've got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. I hope that everyone enjoyed this episode. I thought it was pretty great, especially since I got my very first vote-off point of the season. I was holding on to Say as my vote-off until late Wednesday afternoon. I decided that she's just too easy of a vote-off at this point, and I figured that they would target Asiva, so I'm glad that I made the switch. I enjoyed the reward and immunity challenge this episode. Although I gotta say, I don't think the mud adds a lot of value to me, but it certainly does to Jeff, because he loves his mud. I feel like mud used more sparingly would be more entertaining, and I just find it hard even at this point in the game when you know the players to tell them apart when they're covered in mud. And I also feel like they shouldn't have to eat their food reward covered in mud. I just think that's kind of gross. So, Jeff, get over the mud. Cedric definitely solidified this week that he lacks any sort of muscle strength in order to be competitive in challenges. And you wonder, as a surgeon, does he exclusively use robots to do all of his dirty work? Does he use any sort of muscle groups? I think his lack of physicality is actually to his advantage as far as his longevity in the game is concerned, because he's definitely not a threat to win individual immunity. So unless a strong part of the tribe wants to cleanse the tribe of any perceived weaker players, I think Cedric's very likely not going anywhere. This episode definitely served as Star's coming out party, and I gotta say, it turned me into a fan. I feel like there's so much more to Star than what we were originally shown in the early game, and her job on the show is listed as a sales expert, and with the way that she talked to Cedric, I totally get it. I think her getting rid of her public idol, at least at the time, was a good move, and I think her bonding with Cedric was a good move, and I'm excited to see where Star goes in this game. I'm not sure if I'll abandon Shahin as my USB. He started off great, but the edit hasn't been very kind to him ever since. There is a lot of game left, and I'd like to see him do more. If I were to switch USBs, I'd probably pick Camilla. Even if she doesn't win, I really like her, and she's the only castaway with any ties to Canada, so that's an added bonus. As far as my predictions for next week, we're at the awkward time where they're merged, but they're not merged because Jeff wants to split them into smaller tribes, and I guess we're picking 2 vote-offs. So depending how the tribe split goes, and I won't spoil that for anybody, but I think that obviously Eva and Joe could be targeted. People want to split them apart. I think Eva is going to probably play her idol no matter what. Say, of course, is an easy target. She could likely be my vote off again. I also think Mary doesn't have any agency in the game, so I could see her being targeted as well. She could be an easy vote for people. So that's my predictions for now, but I look forward to hearing everyone else's feedback. And you guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert. I think Star's going to make a killing on Cameo this next year. People are going to line up to get her pep talks. I think I can see it already. I don't know if she's already doing that. Probably not. Probably has to wait till the season's over. But there's going to be a lot of people that would be thrilled to get a Star pep talk.
Okay.
Thanks, Robert. Next up, we got an email from Tara in New York. Hello, everyone. I'm getting ready to go visit family in Boston, so I haven't had a lot of time to rewatch and ponder the episode this week. Still, I wanted to give a few quick thoughts. Also, I have tickets to the Rob Has a Podcast live show. That's going to be awesome. And after party next week, so wanted to mention it in case any of the SFP family will be going too. It will be my first live show, and it would be so cool to meet anyone else from our group. Hopefully, I'll have some fun pics to share when I return. Yeah, that's going to be great. Star was the absolute star of the show for me this week. I've been waiting to see her huge personality come out, and now that she's not spending all of her time trying to solve that puzzle, I hope we see even more. It seems noteworthy that she was the player to narrate most of the intro to the Mergatory. Yeah, that was cool. I loved watching her celebrate when the tribe got that tree mail and then wait on the beach for everyone with open arms. She's ready to give hugs. She was then hype woman for Cedric after the challenge and even helped solidify the charity vote by ratting her out to Joe and Eva. And I can't wait to see where she goes from here. It will be fun to see where Say heads at this point too. She's just great TV. The scene where she jumps in front of Charity like a cheetah to grab the advantage was fantastic. I'm a little sad that Mary and Say might not be the killer duo I was hoping for, but anything could happen when it comes to Say, so I'm not counting anything out. Also, Mary was brilliant shooting across the mud in the challenge. It looked amazing. Camilla and Kyle are high on my radar too. I think Kyle may be the downfall of that new Honor, Strength, and Integrity alliance while trying to protect Camilla. I sure hope so. All of that talk just reminds me of Coach, and my eyes might just roll right out of my head if that continues too long. I'm leaning toward Camilla or Shahin as my new USB. Like Kyle, I think Shahin may eventually move away from that strong alliance and work with the strategic players. After this episode, I can even see Star as a potential dark horse in the race too. I'm waiting to hear more from everyone else during the feedback show before locking in my final pick. If anyone else will be in Boston for the Rob Has a Podcast show and want to say hi in person, I'm a member of the Facebook group, so just let me know. As always, thanks so much for going above and beyond every week, Joanne and Stacy. I'm keeping your family in my thoughts. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks, Tara. I hope you have a blast.
Thanks.
Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. This is Rebecca calling from Oahu with my feedback. That was an interesting episode, and I had picked Charity as my vote out because, again, like the preceding week with Bianca, she just really seemed like the logical choice because everybody was gunning for her so hard. But at the end of the episode, when she was voted out, I was left with this question. The perception of the castaways of who is, quote unquote, playing too hard or such a threat. I don't think Charity was playing any harder than anybody else. I actually liked her very much and found her quite beautiful, very mellow. I think the big difference between Charity and others who are playing equally as hard is alliances. We saw early on I think it was the very first episode when Kamala, just to stir things up, cast so much doubt on Charity to sort of take control of the narrative of her tribe. And I think that was actually truly her downfall. She had another castaway cast doubt about her, and that was enough for it to steamroll and like a snowball rolling down the hill, pick up speed, because everything she said was actually quite honest and really like she had a pulse on the game. Yeah, Star should have been voted out. Yeah, Eva's a threat. But the difference between Charity and Eva is that Eva has a rock solid alliance, and she's made this incredible emotional connection with Joe and with Dave and others. And Charity had not done that. And I've said this in previous years that often the difference between those who go far to the end and those who are pegged as, oh, they're playing too hard, they're trying too hard, is how deep and how emotionally solid their alliances are. And I think that's what Charity was lacking, not of any fault of her own, because she had doubt cast on her by Camilla. And it was a wonderful strategic play by Camilla, but that was enough to sink her game. And that's my TED Talk on Survivor for today. My heart kind of went out to Cedric. Yeah, he's a little bumbly and fumbly, but I did like the way that Star consoled him. I still love Eva. She's wonderful to watch. I kind of hope she wins even above my USB Shahin, which I'm not going to get rid of. At the merge, to still have a USB 24 in the game, I don't want to get rid of him. I don't know how much the strong alliance is going to make it in the end, because they already have Kevin being shifty with Camilla, and all it takes is one to blow up an alliance. Again, I'm really enjoying the season. I thought this was a lovely episode. It was kind of like a nice little palate cleanser after the high emotion of last time. I love that the vibe for the strong alliances, we're going to play an honest game, but I don't know how far that's going to take them. Like many super fans, I have dreams that I'm on Survivor, and my most very vivid dream of being on Survivor was being in a 5 alliance and going, okay, so what we're all going to do is we're going to stay strong and we're going to duke it out after Final 5 or at Final 5. It would be really cool if these guys could do this. I just think they might be having some destruction from the inside in the way of Kyle. Anyway, thank you so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. I so love all you do for us. Aloha. Bye.
Thanks, Rebecca. I was thinking when she mentioned Cedric, and I was also thinking back to when Robert was talking about him. You know, you really don't want a super beefy proctologist, do you? You probably want something more gentle, like Cedric.
Just because he's got muscles doesn't mean he has to use them while he's doing surgery.
But you don't think of the people who are all beefed up as being able to be delicate.
You would think that he had good hand strength, having to hold the tools and stuff, but he couldn't hold on to that rope for sure. Yeah. But that probably damaged his hands. Those ropes are just terrible.
Yeah, those cargo ropes can chew you up. Yep.
They can rip your skin up.
Definitely. Thanks, Rebecca. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and all my Survivor friends. The last episode was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the immunity challenge, the feast, all was lots of fun to watch. Now, Stacy has asked a few questions, so I shall be answering them. The first is, who do you think is playing the best? In my opinion, Mary has dodged a few bullets and seems a lot more confident. I like the fact that she has disassociated herself from green totally. Now, Shahin and Mary are without a doubt very similar type of players, and it would be great if they could pair up. I know Jeff said at the beginning of the season that this season was one of duos, and then he also mentioned something about a late duo emerging. I hope he was hinting at them. Then the other duos I like are Kevin and Camilla. I really like them.
Kyle.
And Joe and Eva, they're a bit insipid. I don't think they will last for long, as Joe could get voted out. And then there is the great love-hate relationship between Sai and Cedric. All love from Cedric and all hate from Sai. Cedric has single-handedly saved Sai twice from going home, and then she rewarded him by voting for him at the next tribal council out of a grudge. It would have been so funny if she had gone home instead of Charity. And then, of course, Cedric has also saved her, but in the worst possible ways. And he made her lose her idol in vain. Then he voted for her twice. He voted for Bianca without telling her, but told Chrissy. So it was all loads of fun. Then the next question is, who's in jeopardy of being voted out next? I think it's going to be either Cedric or Sai. Cedric could also end up in the final tribal as a goat. Another person I think who could be in jeopardy is Kyle. And I just saw a post by Jeremiah on the Facebook page where he said that there's going to be a double vote out. So I think Chrissy could be in danger as well. Now, who impressed me the most? Camilla is my new favorite. I also was very impressed with Mary. However, I'm going to keep my USB Shahin. This episode, I enjoyed Sai stirring the pot. Star was lots of fun. And Charity really deserved to go home. She did. And I got a vote out point. So on that note, I'm waiting to hear what everybody else has to say. Cheers.
Cheers. Congrats on your vote out there, Rashmi. Next up, got an email from Becca in South Carolina.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, Survivor fans. This week, David, the one in our family, not the one on Survivor, is traveling for work, and Caroline has a birthday sleepover to go to the day he returns. We decided that Caroline and I would watch Survivor together the day before the party, and David and Liam would watch together the next night. Liam was concerned about Caroline spoiling the episode for him, so we came up with a punishment. If she tells him what happened, she has to do all of his chores next week. And Caroline was concerned that Liam would falsely report that she had spoiled him in order to get out of doing his chores, so there had to be a consequence for that too. He will have to do my chores next week. Here's
Survivor at Becca's house.
Yeah. Here's just a few thoughts from our half of the family. I loved Eva's reaction when Joe and David were talking about drinking so much milk. How do you store it? I wondered the same thing. Sometimes I buy 2 gallons and I have to shift everything in the fridge to make them fit. Maybe we'll see Joe and David on one of those milk mustache ads. Both of our mouths dropped when Say came charging out of the woods to grab that advantage. And we groaned when we saw that Joe and Eva, still our 2 favorites, ended up with Cedric on their team for the challenge. When they had to go through the wood chips after dragging themselves through the mud, it reminded me of the scene in Home Alone when Harry gets covered in glue and then the fan blows feathers all over him. Couldn't stop thinking about that. I imagine I would have hated sitting around eating while still covered in mud. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's one of the stupidest things
I know it.
They still do.
I think I'd refuse to do it. I'd go get in the water. Caroline thinks that a better title for this episode would have been, I'm Not Scared of a Turtle.
Ooh, I like that. Yes, I agree.
We really enjoyed watching Star. She's such an encourager. I jumped the gun and got too excited when Jeff read Say's name on the votes. Not only do we have to endure at least another week with Say, but we have also lost our USB.
Ruh-roh.
Oh, well, I keep forgetting to put our picks in anyway. Have a good week. All right. Thanks, Becca. Up next, we have a call from Sammy.
Hello, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Sammy in Chicago. I loved your comparison of Charity to Nurse Ratched last week, and I'm just calling in this week to say, good night, nurse. Be well.
Thanks, Sammy. We enjoyed that. Next up, we got a call from Chris.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. Hey, Survivor fans. When they had the rules that had to be read, read it when you're all together. I love the way that Say just said, are we all here? Okay, here's the rules. And she didn't really check if everybody was all there, but she is a great voiceover talent nonetheless. The Walmart Carts Challenge, that's how I would explain finding the secret idol. Somebody sees it, moves towards it, somebody else runs faster to get to it. When I'm at Walmart, I like to stand back so I have a view of all the open lanes, although there are significantly fewer lanes with clerks these days. Cashiers. But anyway, when you stand back in the women's section, you can kind of see all of them and know which ones are the shortest lines. And then you can move your cart towards them, towards the shortest line. But you have to be careful because if you make a significant move, other people will see you and they'll dash and try and get there first. I've had that happen. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, I like the way Eva's filling out Joe's dance card. That was nice. Yeah. Going back to finding the idol, Charity had that pink sweater, and it really stood out in the woods. And also, if you ever go to play laser tag, don't wear white because you'll be an obvious target. The idol reveal was great. The way they showed it on the form, the necklace hanging there, and right over it was the Survivor logo. And it looked just like the Eye of Sauron in Lord of the Rings. Oh, did y'all notice? Jeff is coming around a little bit. We had another change in the protocol of the show. No longer is this what I covet. So that's a good move. I don't think coveting should be part of the game. It's outwin, outplay, outfind the idol, because Ben's going to find it, and Chrissy isn't going to win the game. Yeah, I'm still hung up on that. She was my USB, y'all.
Throwback.
I love the puzzle pieces. They had little Scooby-Doo eyes. You know what I'm talking about? The little yellow eye shape with the eye in it, kind of looking all haunting and everything. All right, I'm sorry. That's all I got, y'all. Have a great day. Have a great week.
Have a great
All right.
week too, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, the eyes are part of the theme that the art department came up with. One particular guy,
Yeah.
what do they call it? This culture, Isadora or something like that. Anyway, they have peppered them in all throughout the set, so you do see them occasionally. That was a great Walmart story. Next up, we got an email from Summer and Matt from East Tennessee. Hey, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. Seemed like there was a lot going on in this last episode. So in no particular order, here's our thoughts. There were a lot of funny moments like Say's feelings on being reunited versus Mary's. Total opposite takes. Finding it hard to see these two working together. We also find out that Joe and Dave, or Team Milk, got to think there will be a crossover marketing campaign in their futures.
Got milk?
And then there's Say laughing and celebrating her immunity challenge advantage, saying, I need to eat out loud to everyone. Her defense was that she was really tired. She continues to struggle in reading the room, but it's fun to watch these awkward moments. David believes he has a new game strategy of, if you're a strategist, puzzle solver, or a social player, you are the target now. You know, outlast, outwit, outplay, and you don't deserve to win because winners have great pet. It was interesting to see the contrasting dynamic duos approaches of Camilla and Kyle and Joe and Eva, with the former keeping it low-key and the latter making it very public. The reward immunity was brutal. Matt says that this challenge looked like what they do to recruits in basic training. Couldn't help but notice that the colors were orange and purple, ditching the cursed green altogether. Mitch was impressive again in all aspects of this challenge, especially carrying Cedric up the last part. He's also playing a good social game. Will this put him at the top or bottom of David's hit list? The post-challenge reward meal included lots of yummy treats, but maybe a little too much booze. Why did everyone give up so much intel on idols and advantages? This group wants to play with golden rule principles like integrity and honesty, but hey folks, silence is also golden. As we say here, you don't have to tell everything you know. Definitely a good rule to follow. Star really shined in this episode, working with her original tribe mates, good challenge performance, and encouraging a defeated Ced. But was it a mistake to claim she didn't know that Eva had an idol in front of people who saw her give Eva the idol? That was quite a goof.
Yeah.
But I don't think people hold that kind of stuff against Star. We are enjoying watching her story unfold this season. Yeah, we are too. Moving to this tribal council, I am infamous for my bad analogy, so not going to judge Shahin and Mary too harshly, but I didn't get either one of theirs. On the other hand, I could definitely relate to Star's family love-hate comparison. The votes are split, but Turtle Charity goes home instead of Snake Say. I have to think the castaways will regret that selection, and Mitch seemed as blindsided as Charity from the look on his face. Will the vote motivate Say to change up her game? Next time on seems to answer that question with an emphatic nope. Looking forward to the other super fans' feedback, and we appreciate all you do for us. Talk to you next week, Summer and Matt. Thanks, guys. Good job.
You know, she's already tried to shake it up, and she's going to do this different and that. I haven't noticed
and lay
anything.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she did in the voting. She wasn't super engaged before going to tribal council. She really wanted a particular target in Eva, but she knew enough not to press for it.
Yeah, I guess that could be some improvement in her strategy, because she wasn't holding back before at all. So,
yeah.
But she's still a bit too out there and too noticed.
Yeah, the abrasiveness factor is so high. And the fact that even Joe marked her as someone he didn't want on the jury because he believes that it would be bad for everyone, that she would be out for revenge, a woman scorned, he said. So, yeah, I don't see a bright future for her.
Nope, she got the kiss of death from Captain America.
Thanks, Summer and Matt. Next up, got a call from Anderson.
Hey, Joanna, Stacey, this is Anderson from North Carolina calling with my feedback. For Mergatory, alright, let's the charity vote out, and that's that. I'll be back side for first in side channel. And apparently everybody picked Harris to go home. So yeah, next week I'm between Say and Camilla. I do not think it is David versus Kyle situation. I think it is David versus somebody on the orange team before going to travel second. And also Jordan Stacey, I want to know if it is a double elimination, because if it is, I might be cooked. But Camilla's trying to frame it on Shahin on the next time on Survivor. I have no clue what they're trying to play with that one. Mitch should be in the strong person line because he helped Cedric also to get stealth up, and while communicating with his team, trying to figure out how to get Cedric all the way up. And I know Jeff puts it in a dramatic order, and yeah, apparently Cedric somehow told Chrissy. I'm not sure about that. Anyways, the next time, bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Anderson. It is indeed looking like a double elimination, so we're proceeding with that in mind. Classic, where they break up the challenges into two groups, and you'll have, they'll go to vote separately, those two groups, so you'll get two vote outs. And then, like Joanne was saying earlier, that'll line us up to have a final five for the last episode there in May. Next up, we got a call from David.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey, it's David in Pittsburgh. Well, the last episode for me was not that exciting, but it does show you where lines are being drawn. At least I thought it would, with going into the tribal council with teams 6, 4, and 3. I expected everybody to take a shot at Siva. Well, some people did and some people didn't. What I was surprised at was that Camilla, Christy and Kyle voted against one of their own. And then on the purple team, some of the people who I thought were in the strong alliance, like Shahin and Eva, voted for Say. So the votes seemed to be all over the place. The thing I liked about it was that everybody was involved. I really, really didn't like the times where the teams were divided into two and only one team was going up for tribal council and the rest could watch and add a block of vote or whatever. And that's how Matthew ended up going home a couple seasons ago. So I like this better. But I'm still confused as who's in what alliance and how it's going to work out. And being confused leads me to Cedric. I was trying to find a pattern in his voting. I've seen online some people call him a mastermind. He has gone to tribal council, I don't know how many, every time except once, I think. And the first time I could understand getting out Stephanie, but the other times, then he went with Justin to vote out Kevin, and then the crazy episode after where Jeff had to finally explain to him, hey, guy, you have to make the deciding vote, and if you can't, then you're the one that's going to go home. And then he finally changed his vote. I think he still didn't figure out what was going on because Mary had played the shot in the dark successfully, and Justin didn't have a vote, and he was just going to keep tying with Say and end up picking rocks. So it doesn't look like a great mastermind player to me. I've also been down on him because he's not a very good player physically, but then I thought, oh, I can't imagine myself doing any of those challenges. I mean, even at his age. So I have to give him a pass for that. And I really, really enjoyed seeing Star come out from the background and give him some support, just like she gave Eva some support the week before. So I'm really impressed. And the only other thing I have to say is I wish Kyle and Camilla would stop saying we're this masterful secret duo, because we all know what that means. And I'm watching them do it week after week. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Yeah, I think a lot of us want them to not say that and not jinx it. Good deal. Thanks, David. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
And Jack says, this was a unique and new way to do the Mergatory, having only one person safe making it through to the merge, while the rest had to wait until after tribal to get their merge buffs. I probably won't change my USB away from Shahin, but with the interactions and what we are seeing, I do enjoy this cast quite a bit. I hope Say goes soon, since I do find her a bit annoying still. As for the challenge advantage, that was quite the advantage, and it was a mad scramble right away to find it. To me, it looked like Charity was the one who saw it first, but then Say ran and took it before she could.
In her interview, Charity said she gasped. I don't know that you can actually hear it, but she said that's what she thought really gave it away, that she gasped in surprise, and that gave Say a chance to realize it.
First.
Yeah, and she was physically closer to begin with.
Okay. Speaking of the challenge, that was a huge advantage Say gained, not needing to compete in part one, but automatically makes it to the merge feast and part two, which looked quite difficult with balancing a ball on the pole and moving them down in 5-minute intervals. I knew I would struggle with this. I felt bad for how Cedric was down on himself about his performance at the challenge. The interaction and comfort that Star gave him was really nice and did seem to cheer him up. The bonds that are forming this year are great ones, from the history of families last week to the odd bonding over milk from Joe and David this episode. The idea of a strong, honest alliance is an interesting concept in this game, but it will be pretty cool to see if it actually works out for everyone. I know I probably mentioned this in the past, but the idea of sharing who has the idol can always be a slippery slope. But I think for Eva to share it with Joe could help her out in the long term. But I also think it led to how and why Charity was voted out. All right, thanks, Jack. Up next, we have a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and I really love this episode. I thought it was so much fun, and also I got full points this week, which doesn't happen very often. I'm guessing a lot of people did because the writing was on the wall for Charity, but as the votes were being read, I was, man, I think I'd sacrifice this 5th point to see Say leave. I think that'd be an okay trade-off. Regardless, super fun. And I think this just sets us up for a really exciting back half of the season with all the dynamics going on. Some really good, really fun personalities out there. Kyle, Camilla, Shahin, Joe, David, all stars. Eva is great. Star now has a personality, which is so fun. I love the idea of this strong alliance, even though David is onto something here. We're not shields anymore. We're running this. Except they kind of are shields for Kyle because he is a strategic puzzler. The people that David wants out, he is that and is really close with somebody who is also that. So I think that's kind of a funny dynamic going on in this physical alliance, is that there's some sneakiness there that you don't know about, which is very exciting. I know some people are going to be mad again at what David's saying, but to be honest, he's onto something there because, okay, the last dominant male player to have won was Tony in Winners at War. Jam Jam doesn't fit that mold. Gabler certainly doesn't fit that mold. And I'd be okay with that. I'm sorry. I'd be fine with seeing a strong guy win. I think that'd be fun. I know not everybody would like that, but I think we've had a lot of under-the-radar, sneaky players make it to the end and win recently. And you know what? Some of them are great. Some of them I'm like, Rachel, amazing winner. But Erica, Marianne, and so, yeah, I'd be fine. I'd be fine with having one of the big guys win, especially if it's Kyle. That being said, Camilla would also be a phenomenal winner. And I'm very much debating changing my USB to one of them because while I love Joe, I don't think he's winning this season. But I know the minute that I switch my USB to one of those two, they could be out of here. So I don't know. I don't want to curse them with picking them as a USB because that happens a lot where I change my USB and then that person goes right away. So I don't know. But no, I really love this episode. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I'm very excited to see where this all goes. I think we're set up for very interesting end game here. And I'm loving it. I really like this season. I think it started out slow, but we're gearing up and I'm having a blast. That's all I got. I will see you all next time.
Awesome. I like your read on the upcoming second half. Thanks, Parker. Next up, we got a call from Shahin.
Hi, Joanne, Stacey, and all Survivor fans. Hope everyone is well and safe. I thought it was a decent episode, but not like the others. And I think it was because there was only 2 names on people's lips, Say and Charity. And I can't blame production for trying to get it any better. I think this is symptomatic of the 40s. The 40s are rather fraught with trying to get rid of someone that they don't want on the jury. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of Michelle, albeit her decision was way later in the game. I think it was in the final 3, right? Mm-hmm. Where she won that reward and she was able to make a choice post-jury formation of getting rid of one player. Yeah. And I remember it was so pivotal and the reaction from Neil was just huge. It made it look like that Neil would have poisoned the jury. And I think they think about those things so much now, which is why in the 40s, it just feels so bland, those episodes, because you kind of know who is going home or who it's between. But yeah, that reminded me of that a little bit. Obviously different contexts, but the thought of jury management is just so huge for these players. And I love the way that they were able to pass through that and give us a better insight, because I don't think we've seen such a big insight in the 40s into jury management as we did in that episode. I thought the challenge was a good challenge. It was well crafted. Finding the advantage was a good piece to the puzzle, I guess. Getting rid of one to go from 13 to 7. Finding the reward in itself was interesting because from the interviews, from Charity's exit interviews, it looked like that she had found it first, but she made an audible gasp, and that's what led Say to getting there first. And I thought that Say is a TV moments player when you look at it. She's someone that plays the game hard, but she doesn't play it well, whereas I think Charity could have been someone that played it well, and it was probably the right choice to get rid of her in the way that they did. I guess one other thing, I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it, but I think we kind of know who we're from what Jeremiah had posted. And I just have really big fears about my boy Shahin. He is in what looks to be a really sticky situation. I also think Ava could be in trouble in the other split. Obviously not going to say who's in the split, but I think there is a really, really big chance someone big goes home in that second group. My fear is Shahin, and I just hate that because, love the guy, the namesake. He's playing the game excellently, and there's so many players I feel like in the last couple seasons that could just come back. But one other thing before I go, David, I know you didn't get to watch season 47, but watch 47. You probably have, and you'll completely regret what you said about strong, challenge-winning players. Look at the winner, okay? I don't believe he's got muscles up in the head. He's a really good guy, I think, at heart, but unfortunately not in the brain. Anyway, thanks for what I do. Cheers, bye.
I don't know. He may have muscles in the head, which explains that. The missing brain part. Thanks, Shahin. Next up, we've got an email from Erin in Canada. Hi, Joanne and Stacy. I've enjoyed listening to your feedback, and I must say, I giggled to myself every time Joanne jumps ahead and Stacy reels her back. And it reminds me of my husband and I when we are telling a story. I always jump to the punchline of the joke before explaining it. And he shakes his head and giggles. Love your enthusiasm, Joanne. Never change.
Obviously, I have it.
Yes. On to my feedback. It looks like Say is Cedric's security blanket. Looks more like a wet blanket to me, but I must say I enjoy watching what she will do or say next. Kyle and Camilla are my favorite duo, but hopefully they won't jump ahead of themselves. Star was the player of the week in my mind. She called the shot, which eventually was the person voted out. We did hear it. Yep. She played with both her gut and her emotions. She showed strategy and heart at the same time, and whether it was intentional or not, it was very strategic and beneficial for her to give up her idol. I love seeing her excitement for the merge when the boats were coming in and she was talking to herself and hyping herself up. And when she was encouraging Cedric, she's like an onion with many layers. I'm wondering, is Chrissy getting a purple edit, or are they waiting to reveal more from her? I think I saw something that Chrissy had been on social media saying, "Where am I, CBS? Why are you hiding me?" One final thought. If Chrissy, Cedric, Mitch, Mary, Say, and Camilla formed an underdog alliance, that would be beneficial for Camilla and her secret alliance with Kyle. The term underdog alliance is just in comparison to the strong alliance, as there are plenty of strong people in that group as well. But Kyle and Camilla would have ears on both sides. I feel like it would be great if they played both sides and left their alliance a secret with no big moves until closer to the end. I think Kyle's hungry for big moves, but Camilla should try to appear as weak and on the bottom as long as she can. Thoughts?
Definitely. I think she should keep any power that she has hidden, since they're wanting to keep the strong people, even though they're wanting physically strong people is what they're wanting. Mm-hmm. And, she's not in danger of them thinking that about her. But if she showed too much of her intelligence and her strategic abilities and thoughts, then that could get her in trouble. So she is better to keep that under wraps and hidden.
It's really hard to hide those alliances like that, and for them to maintain operational security, for their OPSEC to be really tight and limit their interactions, but to be effective in their communication so they can sync everything up and make things happen.
Because people are out and about, and you don't know who's going to walk up on you. Mm-hmm. And if that happens too much, they'll put it together pretty quick.
And it's not like David and Joe aren't capable of spotting something like that happening, so they could pick up on it rather quick. I feel anxiety about the Camilla Kyle duo because I keep worrying they're going to get busted before they can, achieve maximum effectiveness in their alliance.
And their strategic abilities.
Yeah.
We want to see them do some more
But I definitely like your idea, Erin, of Camilla being able to manage one alliance and having Kyle being able to manage the other one. And we saw how great they are at off-the-cuff acting, at improv acting. So I believe they could pull it off. They've certainly demonstrated the potential to do that.
Definitely.
It's really hard. Excited to see how this plays out. Looking forward to next week when they're officially merged. Have a great week, everyone. That's it, though. They're going to be, they throw you off.
Yeah.
Be healthy, happy, and safe. Thanks, Erin. Because they're going to split it back up again. You won't get to see the full effect. And so they remain in Mergatory limbo.
But they are official.
It's the whole...
They have their buffs. They are merged as one tribe. But
technically, yes.
Yes. They're not competing
in actuality
as individual immunity challenges yet.
All together in the big group. So they're going to get split back apart and have to do tiny tribe
at least one more
tactics to make it through this. And then they'll come back together again and they'll be effectively at the same spot. They won't necessarily, they'll know a little more, but they won't have fully tested the boundaries. Like they were talking about how important it was to figure out, where people are. I think it was Kyle's talking about, are people going to show up or not? So there's going to be that degree of uncertainty because they're not going to get to act together.
I kind of think maybe this week will be the last time they will do that for immunity. Now, they might do it for reward.
Yes.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
But for immunity, I think this should be the last.
It'll set them up for the end, in terms of
and then they'll go to
vote outs.
Individual immunity and do the team in the reward challenge.
But in the way I'm used to thinking about it, it's like keeping us in this Mergatory kind of feeling. You don't get to see them act together. You don't get to see the effectiveness of the alliances because they have to act in the microverse here. Thanks, Erin. Next up, we got a call from Kim.
Greetings, Joanne and Stacy and Survivor fans. This is Kim from North Carolina. Say says she's willing to do anything as long as it keeps her safe and gets her further in the game, except having a filter. It appears to me that for all of the votes, she is not informed at all. Both Say and Eva are doing that thing that annoys me, but which I guess is quite natural, where they pretend like they have a strategy, but the real strategy is to go after the most recent person they've heard is saying their name. I like chocolate milk. I don't drink a gallon of it. Studies have shown it is a good post-workout recovery drink. So that was my rationale for drinking it, even though I just loved it. Star looked good in the merge challenge. She had a beautiful moment with Cedric, even though I don't really love Cedric. I enjoyed watching her build him up. Speaking of people who look like the new challenge beasts post-merge, I think Mary looks strong. Mitch, Kyle, David, and Star, the people who have that ability to focus and concentrate and have the balance they need. Good luck to the meat team in winning challenges without a puzzle person. Even though I don't think Cedric is a threat to win the game, he is a definite detriment at this stage of the game. If you end up on a team with him, you are not going to win that challenge. I love Mary's line about not being afraid of a turtle. Charity is a turtle, size of venomous snake. Great line. Lastly, I'm really glad to see that they got new clothes, and I'm glad to see that they have had more clothes this season and in recent seasons, because I don't want to see a whole bunch of body parts. I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody else has to say. And Joanne, prayers, good wishes, best of luck with your niece.
Thanks, Kim. Next up, we got a call from Johnny.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Johnny calling from Wisconsin. I had no idea that was going to send at 10 p.m. on Saturday night. That's embarrassing. I always record this between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. Eastern right before my Saturday morning shift at work. So I recorded it that morning. I clicked send on the Gmail, and then I just closed the app. I'm thinking maybe it didn't send actually at that point, so maybe it just sat in queue until the next time I opened Gmail, which may have ended up being 10 p.m. on Saturday, and then decided to send at that point. So that was weird. I'll make absolute sure it sends this time. The episode was awesome. A lot of people impressed me. I mean, Star obviously really impressed me there. Everybody did really well in their respective roles. Yeah, I wanted a quick touch on the fact that Pat had called in last week and mentioned the let's go phrase being a celebration. I think Stacy hit it right on the head. It seems to come from a lot of different avenues. Some people out there blame Twitch streamers for doing it. Some people blame Dude Perfect, specifically a group of YouTuber guys. The first thing that came to my mind, though, was Tom Brady, and he would constantly use that phrase as his preemptive celebration. It was, kind of maybe all those things spiraling together, and now young kids, everybody they watch says that now. And looking back, I can see how that would be a little frustrating as opposed to what it was supposed to mean. Yeah, just wanted to touch on that. So I saw a lot of jury talk. I mean, Stacey had talked about that as well. Joe specifically mentioned the jury and how he didn't want certain people sitting on it. And that was the motivation for voting out people like Charity, people like Say, because they didn't want them to sit there and have to just determine their fate at the end of the game. So I thought that was really funny. As for the core five, oh man, I feel like a broken record. Stacey I think, had the better point. It was a little more based on integrity, look them dead in the eye, and make sure you're telling the truth, than it was just pure quote unquote strength, because I don't think those five are the strongest people to win challenges. I really don't think that. It was funny about that is, as they were saying that toward tribal, Jeff had even called him out, like, you guys, this is your first tribal for some of you. What do you mean honesty, integrity? Until you guys start putting pen to the parchment, you talk to me then about honesty and integrity in your game. We'll see. It was pretty funny. So as for who's going to go really deep in the game, I'm pretty high on Mary yet. I could see her easily going Final Four, and maybe beyond that, we'll see. Otherwise, no, it's been really, really fun to watch, and really enjoyed it. And Joanne, I am definitely still praying for your niece. I hope that things are going to go okay for her, and that God willing she has a recovery. But if not, that you can have all sorts of support and the family can be comforted. So wish you all the best that way. Looking forward to everyone else's feedback. See ya.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, good job getting it in this time, Johnny.
Well, hey, but he gave us a laugh, and so
yes,
that was pretty cool. So thanks for the laugh.
Well, we enjoyed it. We did listen to it. Yeah, good job. Next up, got an email from Nicola in Kentucky.
Hello, Survivor family. Another good episode. Star, for me, was the star of the episode. I think she is finally settling in, and the relief of no longer being on the bottom has allowed her to open up.
Okay.
I don't think the Strong Bros Alliance will go far, although to be fair, they have lasted longer than the California girls.
Good point. They made it through their first tribal.
I finally got a vote off point, thanks to all the suggestions from the Facebook feed. Jackson has made an escape from the abominable weather we are having in Kentucky and is having his own survivor adventure and is in the Costa Rican rainforest.
Awesome.
I look forward to hearing about his adventures when spring break is over. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks for everything you do, Joanne and Stacey. Cheers.
Cheers, Nicola. Thank you. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Justin.
Hey, Joanne and Stacey and all the Survivor superfans. It's Justin from Michigan. So, won't really miss Charity. I thought she had some decent potential in the preseason, but we never really saw that on the island, and the editors decided to only show her in a negative light, and she gets what she gets. So moving on to next week, Mike Bloom confirmed that it's going to be a split tribal, and looking at the two groups, I think it's going to be Say and Shahin that are in the most trouble. So if you open it up for 2 vote out points, that's what I'm going to go with. If you only have 1, I think I'm going to go with Say. But looking forward to that, and it's going to be a quick week. Look forward to what everyone else has to say. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Justin. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, Survivor friends. Jeremiah here with some feedback for this week's Mergatory episode. I thought this was probably the dullest episode of the season. Maybe I'm just feeling that way because we've had back-to-back very interesting episodes. And I feel like it wasn't a huge surprise for a lot of us that Charity was the one to go. I think many of us penned her as a potential Mergatory type of vote because usually at this point when they put them all together for the first time, everyone's just looking for the easiest vote. Right. And the fact that it came down to her and Say made a lot of sense. But obviously, I'm bummed because Charity was my USB, and I was hoping I could make it just long enough so I can select a new USB for more points, but oh well. 5. At least now I don't have to worry about being tempted to keep a 24-pointer. But Charity is an interesting player, another one of those that makes me really scratch my head because she has all the attributes of being a pretty good player. And I look back at her game, and from what we got from her, it's so hard to tell exactly what it was that made all the players pin her as being someone not to trust, too hard of a player. Part of me thought, well, maybe it's just some kind of vibe she was giving out. But then listening to her exit interview, something she said kind of brought a little bit of light to my eyes. she was talking about her relationship with David. She said they got along pretty well. But then she had mentioned that she had told David that she wanted to work with him because she saw him as a shield. Now, if she actually told him that, that's terrible gameplay. Because that just tells David, I want to just keep you around because you're going to be a nice shield for me and then I can get rid of you whenever I want. So if she actually said that to him, maybe that is a great example of why she didn't do very well. Now, going into next week's episode for us JSFL players, the most important thing on our mind is who should we select if we need to select a new USB? So who is going to win? Well, at the moment, I'm kind of keeping my eyes out on maybe selecting someone from this Warrior Alliance, shall we call it? The I don't want to be a meat shield, we want someone with integrity to win. Only two from that group I really have a hard time seeing winning. Eva being one of them because she's too big of a threat, and David, who I could see make it to the end, but I just don't think anybody would take him seriously and give him the money. I really like Shahin. That could be a potential, although I don't know if it's edited strong enough for a win. Then we have the secret but not so secret duo of Kyle and Camila, who I really like, would love to see them win. But can they keep this really a secret for long? But I'm definitely thinking about maybe picking them. But surprisingly, I'm wondering if maybe Joe is going to be our winner and kind of leaning towards possibly going that direction. Even though I'd rather root for Shahin, Kyle, or Camila. But I really think we're getting a male winner. And what's going to happen to Mitch now that Charity's gone? That's an interesting question. Mm-hmm. Well, next week we're splitting up the tribes. And honestly, I think it could be Say's turn. Or maybe they will go after an Eva. When you look at the breakdown from the tribes, yeah, I think either Say or Eva, and then maybe one of our original Vula, maybe Mary or Cedric. I don't know. I'll have to think a little bit harder about it. But anyway, that's it for me. You all take care. Until next time, it's Jeremiah from Southern California.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeremiah. You should definitely choose Joe. I think all in on Joe. That's really your best bet right there. Definitely go with that. I've been wondering about Mitch, too. I think this opens things up for Mitch because it gets rid of the charity baggage that he had been carrying. And he's a fantastic player who could go on an immunity run.
I really, really like Mitch.
I'm not so sure.
Happy to see him win.
The moment with Eva and Joe so overshadowed the emotional moment with Mitch that I think it gave Mitch some cover that, yeah, they're going to bust up Joe and Eva, but maybe Mitch has a shot to make it to the end.
Well, again, like I said, he's very strong, very good in challenges. Surely they've noticed, but I think they can discount him outside of the challenges just because he's a small person. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't look like Joe or David with the big muscles and the pecs, but he's got a beautiful form and he's got that core strength, which is really awesome to have in challenges. And I think that's the only reason he was able to hold Cedric up there too, for the other people to grab a hold of him because Cedric just couldn't hold himself up.
Yeah.
But I thought if they weren't on the same tribe, they could go after Joe and Eva to make sure that, because I'm not sure that anybody knows how tightly everyone is. But they do know Joe and Eva are. So
that would be
that's a possibility.
That would be quite the whammy, wouldn't it?
I am going to put Say as one of my picks for sure.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. They're throwing out Camilla and Kyle, throwing out Shahin. And
well, they said they were going to frame him. They didn't say they were going to vote him out.
No, but
set him up for a vote out.
Usually is why is to for people not to trust him, and they'd already said, oh well, be careful with Shahin because you can't trust him. So that's already been put out there. Mm-hmm. But I think they probably would go for. I think my picks are going to be Say and Eva because of the idol.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly the reason she could stick around.
Well, that's true. If she plays it.
Jeremiah, you're so good at getting us thinking about all these different options, buddy. Good job.
But if they did have Eva against Joe, who would she play it for? That's something to think about, too.
Mm-hmm. You should play it for Joe because she thinks that's the right thing to do. That's
Yeah.
integrity.
And that's why I don't think they'd go after Joe first.
Yeah. Thanks again, Jeremiah. Next up, got an email from Josh, the Plush Moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, what a stacked episode. I'm glad they're finally merged and wasn't sad to see Charity go. Here's my other observations. People who vote for Say aren't voting correctly until final tribal council, of course.
Because she said so.
Mm-hmm. David has muscles in his head. That's what happens when you drink that much milk. Say wants to hug Mary, who wants to get away. It's like Pepe Le Pew and the striped female cat. That's a good one. At some point, the Milk Alliance is bound to sour. Beautiful. Yep, right there. Chef's kiss. I wanted to throw a Nerf brick at my TV when Say snatched the advantage from Charity. The 5-member alliance of the strong has weak math skills. Say's house is weird. All of the illumination comes from gas lights. David's been called Captain America. Will he shout, "Meat Shield Avengers, assemble"? Eva has a secret idol that everyone knows about. That was so doofy. Don't tell anyone, Joe, I have an idol that everyone knows about. Those two sentences were right by each other.
Does that make it a community idol?
Oh, thank you. I interrupted the
I could tell you didn't know where you were.
Entitled Say got free food and was first to the feast table. Ugh. Cedric's team should have used the grappling hook to hoist his carcass to the top of the wall. Man, wouldn't that be creative if you used elements from earlier in the challenge to help get your team up? Don't worry, Star. It's normal to not pay attention to things your brother-in-law says. Charity's too big to be the little devil perching on everyone's shoulders. Star told a great lie about not knowing where the idol is, but too many people know the truth. Jeff wants people to get up off their couches. Luckily, I use a recliner so I can ignore his urging. Only a true sociopath would lovingly describe every bite of the feast to people who were starving. Star's pep talk to Cedric made her old coaches proud. I'm begging the survivor gods, please don't let vengeful Say be the mayor of Ponderosa. Cedric's doing stuff most men can't do. After all, not everyone can be a butt surgeon. Jeff throws weird parties if people sneak off to the bathroom together. Say is a bad tribal wizard. She keeps casting spells but can't make Cedric disappear. Club Condo can't be an in place if people there still do the robot. Kyle said Cedric knows about sniffing butts. I don't think that's a common surgical technique.
You boys.
Jeff can't fool me. His dance spiel was his audition for Dancing with the Stars. Oh, is that what that was about? Now it all makes sense. Which survivor locale is more fun to hang out at, a dog park or a dog bar? In the voting booth, former basketball player Say committed a turnover with the pen. She definitely fumbled it bad, didn't she? I keep waiting for the tribe to fix their sociopath problem, and they continue to disappoint me. Me too. Even notice that everything at Tribal is shaped like garlic. They don't want vampires on the set. Say should be called S. She's playing like a female Q.
That's good.
The race doesn't always go to the swift, but the advantage often does. The only time Say's able to lay low is when she's in a food coma. Instead of na 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 na, hey hey hey, Charity's exit song should be I'm leaving on a jet plane. Eventually, Jeff's dangerous fun will make him replace sticky mud with slow-drying cement. I think we're there, based on how Kyle looked at the end of that challenge. Note to Star, there's no I in team, but there is one in Survivor. I'd like to see a shut up Jeff advantage. It keeps you safe from his negative play-by-play commentary for one challenge. That would, when someone could play that all on their own, they could totally make that up and play it at Tribal Council or at the beginning of the challenge. We don't see people innovate like that. That's good. I like that. Next time, people are obsessed with, say, David strikes a pose during the rope grip challenge. Mitch doesn't know who to trust. Kyle and Camilla can do whatever they want. and let's frame Shahin. The episode sounds as volatile as the stock market. Oh, geez, you had to go there, huh? Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanne and Stacy, for all you do. Can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California, and here are my thoughts on Survivor 48, Episode 6. So the vote for Bianca really was a last-minute thing, but I struggle to understand why Cedric thought it would be to his benefit to keep Say around. He doesn't have a good instinct regarding her. I loved how when everyone found out that the merge was happening, even though they have spent the last few days trying to bond and build allyship with new people, virtually everyone could not hide their enthusiasm to just get back to their old tribe lines and tribe allies. The first comment I made in my notes for the merge was, David's muscles. Wow. Just wow. And I'll just leave that there. Say was happy to see Mary again, but Mary is not so jazzed to work with Say. Smart Mary. I enjoy the mad dash for the advantage, but I have to say that seeing Say get the advantage, I have to wonder why the Survivor gods hate me so much. On to the immunity challenge. I hate mud, but do you know what I hate more than mud? Mud followed by wood shavings. Yuck! The only thing worse would be any form of chalk component to this awful challenge. I think the new immunity necklace this season is beautiful. Very easy on the eyes. This was the longest immunity challenge ever, too, between Stage 1 and Stage 2. While I didn't enjoy Phase 1 so much, Phase 2 was wonderful to watch. I really loved the second part of this challenge. The level of concentration needed to be successful here, especially having all that caked on mud, was just incredible. Next level. After the immunity challenge was really when I started enjoying this episode so much, and you know why I enjoyed it? Star. They are finally featuring Star, and I like her so much. I think she is finally hitting her stride in the game, and I'm really enjoying watching her play. I love her attitude. Are we surprised that Say was the one who came back from the feast and told everybody over and over again all the things that they ate?
Nope.
No, we're not surprised about that, are we? Say also says that she's laying low. Okay. I laughed out loud when Mary was trying to decide or state why she wanted to vote for Say over Charity. When she said, Charity is like a turtle. I'm not scared of a turtle. Lovely. I'm liking Mary so much, too. I think she is a great narrator, and I think David is a great narrator, too. I am enjoying his commentary. And Shahin. I think I'm liking Shahin as a narrator, too. And Tribal Council voting, Eva's comment is what I have been asking myself all season. Why is everything shaped like garlic? I couldn't label the shape until tonight, but that is exactly the shape. Those giant water balloon, or now that we know, garlic-shaped tribe flags or symbols that they had to carry into challenges, I don't like those. Survivor, just go back to the banners. So Say escaped the vote again, and again, I'm asking myself, why do the Survivor gods hate me so much? The edit has a lot to do with how we view players, and this week for me was a good example of that. We heard a lot of negative talk about Charity, but we didn't see it. We weren't shown it. And conversely, if we're supposed to like Say at all, the edit is doing her no favors. Well, that's it for me. Till next week. One final thing. Joanne, I am saying daily prayers for your niece Jennifer, and I hope that the tide changes for her very soon.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, thank you, and good job with your feedback. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Hey, Paul in Louisiana here, and let me start right off by saying, Joanne, you and I both want to know what that recipe for the mud is, but I just want to know if there's any flavoring involved because, well, you know. So, first off here, yeah, Say yelling at Mitch at the start of the episode was another example of her huge hypocrisy, and it showed up yet again when she simply didn't just tell people who asked what she'd won at the reward feast, but rather bragged about what she'd eaten. I mean, is she unable to read the room, or does she just not care? And what the heck was going on with Star's pants falling down when they were reading the message that everyone was beginning the Mergatory? To me, well, I expect stuff like that from her, but all in all, I have to say that she's winning me over more and more, a little bit at a time. I mean, she took second place in that challenge that I was so sure she wouldn't have the grace or precision for. Then we have Joe, and I'll bet he was relieved when Eva explained how she had all of his gameplay mapped out for him. Perhaps that idol she's rocking made him more pliable to her idea of who all would be in their alliance. And although he's pretty darned adamant about her not giving that idol back to Star, I bet he won't be so concerned about her giving it to him later on. And did Cedric give new meaning to the term dead weight or what? His ineptitude is awesomely astounding because looking at him, you'd never suspect it. And you can't tell me that the person who isn't most surprised about this is Cedric himself. He's turned out to be an armchair warrior, but I still have to feel sorry for him because he not only realizes it, but he's trying to own up to the fact as well. And it's just a hard pill to swallow, I'm sure. And I'm certainly with Joanne here when she says that the advantage wasn't hidden. I think the fact that it was so powerful, too powerful if you ask me, had a lot to do with the fact that Jeff didn't want it to go undiscovered, which is why it was placed on a pedestal in the middle of an open field. The only thing that could have made it look any better was to have shafts of sunlight cutting through some clouds to illuminate it. But I was happy to hear Stacy chuckling so much about the honor and integrity bull that was being thrown around because, as we all know, there's never been, nor will there ever be, any honor or integrity in this game, unless, of course, you're aiming for some rest and relaxation over there at Ponderosa. That talk about honesty and loyalty and yada 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 is just a way to point your finger at your targets and make you feel better about writing their name down. How does the song go? Do it in the name of heaven. You can justify it in the end. Yeah, that. And very briefly, because I don't want to say too much yet, let me just state for the record that Joe is giving me the vibes that Charity was giving everyone else here. I'm really feeling that there's something off about him, and he keeps getting stronger with each passing week. Anyway, as for Charity's exit, well, I think Say would have been the far better choice. Charity wasn't a threat, even to Eva, because word got back to her immediately what she was up to. Go for the problem people, not the small fries with weak voices, because the more you put things off, the harder it is to come back to. You make an excuse once, and you end up making another again before the next tribal. It just goes on and on. Don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. So in the end, I'll say that there was a lot of scrambling this week, and boy did I like it. Shahin's name gets thrown out as someone to be framed and possibly someone as next to go in the previews, but I'm hoping that it's Say all the way because instead of laying low to let the heat subside, that woman is most likely going to be fuming and filterless, and her demise is long overdue if you ask me. So there you have it, Season 48, Episode 6, according to Paul. Catch you all next week. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I'm curious how well she's going to manage it. She wanted to blow up at Say. Say wanted to blow up at Cedric after that last the previous tribal council, rather. And she was real angry, didn't even want to talk to him. Now, we saw next on that she's joking about how they're all obsessed with her. But how will she approach it? Can she build any social bridges? Her path in is Mary, but she did Mary so bad early on that Mary's not going to be willing to help her.
Well, I'm a straight up no. No, she cannot.
Yeah.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, with that many, with 5 votes, it definitely seems like it. I mean, she's creative. She's a smart player. She can't get out of her own way, chose not to have a filter, and that's been her undoing. So we'll see what she can come up with. And it's going to be on the small scale again, which I think is a place that she is better set for instead of having to navigate all the multitude of social connections that was there at 13. Dropping back down to 2 6s will play more into her strengths at least.
So you think they will vote from the 2 6s?
Yes. I do believe that.
Well, they
I believe
have
it
done
is
that in the past.
A double, and in the challenge they're split blue and orange, and so you'll have one winner from each group, but the group that lasts longest between the 2 colors is the one that'll get reward. That's generally how that goes.
Yeah, that's our best guess.
Mm-hmm.
And but we are going with, like we said, the 2 vote-offs because Mike Bloom is in the know, and I trust what he says.
Yes, I wasn't able to get an official yes back on that, but I only realized it and sent it late in the day on Friday.
After closing on Friday, which, even though the person is not in Georgia because nobody even works on Friday here.
That's true. Yeah, it seems that way.
Not where we are anyway. It's like, my goodness.
How ironic is it, I'm just building on what everybody was saying in the feedback show, that the guy who is a doctor of the guts he can't trust his own gut. He can't read his own gut to make good decisions.
A doctor of the gut?
Yeah. Well, close. Gut and butt. They're connected.
Oh, no.
They're connected.
No.
Yes, they are.
No.
Come on, I was trying to make something
no,
funny.
no,
You're busting me on a
I'm
technicality.
sorry you failed.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
We'll let Josh do.
Say, and it's possible to catch Eva. She's going to want to hold that idol. She's going to want to 46 it. And I won't be surprised if she gets caught holding it. But if there's an opportunity to save Joe, then I could definitely see her doing that.
Oh, I think she'd play it in a heartbeat to save Joe. But she might not use it on herself. I don't know. She might try to hang on to it too long.
It'll all pivot on that random draw for the two teams in terms of how things are going to play out. Who can build majorities in each of the groups of 6.
Yeah.
Just need 4 to control the outcome. If you're worried about an idol being played, though, you need enough to split. And so will you be able to do that?
Well, the only advantages out there are Eva's immunity and Mitch's block vote. So those could come into play as well.
Yeah, everybody's still got their shot in the dark except for Mary, but I don't see Mary getting targeted.
Yeah, I don't either.
She seems like she's got charisma and she's able to make all those social connections that are so beneficial when they come together like this in the bigger group.
But if anybody kind of gets suspicious of Kyle and Camilla, I could see
Could be their undoing, yeah.
Yes.
Easily.
They could really destroy their games that way. And I know Kyle's my USB, and I don't plan to change.
I wouldn't either if I had him. You got to play the odds.
He has a chance.
Yes, definitely.
And so since he has a chance, I'm just going to let it ride.
He's just been tempted to survive.
Let it ride. Roll
Tempting
the
the
dice.
survivor gods with all that bragging about how they're in control and calling the shots with the secret duo.
I'm not sure that he would make it.
They'll get the result they want. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to let it ride.
Hey, fantastic listener feedback show. You guys killed it. We want to thank everybody who took the time to send in your thoughts and analysis and predictions and insights. Super big thanks to Christy, Erica, Hazel, and Tara for your subscription donations. Thank you. We greatly appreciate your support that goes towards our operational expenses. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Before we continue, I wanted to ask you one thing. Did you say who you were going to choose, or do you have an idea on your 2 vote-offs?
Say for sure. This seems like a foregone conclusion, and it fits in the pattern of, hey, we want the easy button. We're still trying to figure out who's aligned with who, where's the controlling alliance. So getting rid of Say is just the next easy button to smash. For the second one, it's so tempting to bust the Eva and Joe thing. And if for somehow they ended up on the same team, I'd probably pick Joe, because I think they could hide depending on who it was coordinating it, they could potentially hide the reality of the vote from Eva and Joe.
Oh, but
they want to make them think it might be Eva to get her to play the idol, but then you take Joe out because Joe's her base. He's the one to reestablish her. So you take that piece off the board, and now you've set her up for some possible instability if she has another episode.
But
you weaken her
Joe
dramatically. Whereas you could that's what I'm saying. You could take Eva away from Joe, and he could still be as effective in the game. But I don't think it works the other way. So I guess I'm thinking.
She's still got David.
Saying Joe, I just don't know how they're going to get split up. So yeah, David's not Joe.
But if they're on the same tribe, then they couldn't, they only get to pick
same team.
one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, same team. So, okay, so that's what you're looking at. Okay. Well, if you are playing in JSFL, remember to make your week 6 picks for 2 people who will be voted out and 4 people you think will still be safe at the end of the episode.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, so much harder. Okay, there were 53 people who had already made your picks before we found out it was a double elimination this week. So you must go back to the website and put in another vote out choice. Otherwise, you're just going to have the one.
Mm-hmm. So if you got friends and family that play in the fantasy league, but they're not listeners of the podcast potentially, we would hope that they were, but we know that's not always the case. Make sure to reach out and tell them to go update their picks. And this is the only opportunity you have this season to change your USB. If your USB's already been voted out of the game, you can select a new one like me for a possible 5 points if they were to end up winning the season. If your USB's still in the game, but you've decided there's just no path to victory for Say, and I chose her as my USB before the season started, and you want to change it, well then you can, but it'll be for a possible 10-point bonus if Say were to end up winning this season. There's a caution we need to add to this, though. Be sure that you want to make that change if you're going from a USB 24 to USB 10. Because if you choose someone and then you think, oh, I made a mistake and I want to go back, well, you've already gone through that trap door. The most you're going to get is 10. So just think it through before you push the button. But remember to push the button.
Yeah, submit, please.
Yeah.
And there are some people out there who probably don't know they don't have a USB because they thought they hit submit and they didn't. So just be certain that you did, and then go back to your picks page, and your new USB should be showing up in bold.
Yeah, stand out from the others on the picks page.
All right. And as always, I'm very excited to see where this week goes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised they don't make this one a 2-hour episode.
Yes.
But okay. All right. We'll see you back here on Wednesday for our recap.
Have a good one.